This is Eyewitness News with live breaking news.
We are following breaking news in the city of Paramount, where again today protesters are clashing with federal agents over ICE arrests and detentions under the Trump administration. Good afternoon, I'm Jory Rand. This is Eyewitness News at 3:30.
And I'm Sophie Flay. This began in Paramount around 10 this morning near the Home Depot on Alondra Boulevard and quickly escalated from there. Federal agents setting off flashbangs to disperse the crowd.
We have seen the LA County Sheriff's Department dressed in tactical gear confronting some of these protesters. That continues right now. They have locked down the area of Alondra and Hunsaker. That is the intersection where these vehicles and deputies are gathered right now. We have seen not a lot of interaction, but we have seen some of the sheriff's deputies lobbing flashbangs and smoke grenades into what had been a crowd, but then turned into just general sporadic people, one by one, approaching the lines, then backing off, some of them on those lawnmower-powered bicycles, as they kind of taunt the deputies as they hold these lines. We are also awaiting a press briefing from LA County Sheriff Robert Luna, which is set to begin right about now, about a quarter mile from this location where these skirmishes have been taking place for hours now today. We do have a crew working to get over there. As you can imagine, it's pretty difficult to navigate these streets, which are blocked off and crowded with press, with protesters, and with law enforcement. We will bring that to you if we can, if and when it starts. And what we want, we do have a lot of questions for Sheriff Luna, both on the protests and the detention, the arrests that have been made over the last 48 hours.
Yeah, that's right. And let's take a look at the situation earlier this afternoon. Again, we mentioned those flashbangs that we saw on the street. That's on Alondra Boulevard. We also saw tear gas. We saw those canisters in the street. We also saw fire erupt in the median. So things being lit on fire. Again, a situation that we've seen play out over the last few hours, violent at times, but again, a lot of smoke there in between the federal agents and those protesters on Alondra Boulevard. You can see again some of that tear gas being thrown, some flashbangs in the middle of Alondra Boulevard, also near Hunsaker.
And some of them being lobbed back at those deputies and those officers who are firing those canisters into the crowd. Some of them are picked up and thrown right back at law enforcement, and you can see them going off in the middle of the intersection. On the left side of your screen, things, of course, a little calmer. There have been several orders to disperse, meaning if those deputies so chose, they could have begun arresting people. We saw some pretty confrontational people just getting up into the faces of the deputies, just daring them. We saw one young woman walk up to these deputies. They kept telling her, back up, get out of here, we've told you to disperse, and she just stood right in their face before someone kind of pulled her back and prevented her from possibly being arrested. We also have media in all four corners of this intersection backed up against the fence lines, and that is where you're seeing our camera view on the left side from our brave cameraman Romeo, who has been out there for hours dealing with this, bringing you these live pictures as this confrontation continues. There's also been some question about why this location was chosen. We know there were arrests at I believe the Cypress Park Home Depot yesterday, and that sparked off a lot of unrest in this city. There is a Home Depot just about a half a block from this location. There was thoughts maybe there were some arrests that were made there. There was some kind of activity. Maybe Home Depot has become kind of a rallying point. We know we see some day laborers who work there looking for jobs throughout the day, but it turns out this might not actually be a Home Depot that drew people to this spot, Sophie.
Yeah, that's right. And we want to show you some more video from earlier of a U.S. Marshal bus trying to drive through a crowd. Well, what you're seeing actually right there is one protester that was injured. We can bring back that video in a little bit, but we want to get to this bus, this U.S. Marshal bus that was seen coming off of the 710 freeway there, heading onto Alondra Boulevard. You can see protesters getting right in front of that bus, trying to stop it from moving. You can see them just leaning up against that bus, and then the bus starts moving. And we want to throw it over to Eyewitness News reporter Tim Caputo, who is live right now near where all of this is happening. Tim, what are you seeing?
Well, more importantly, Sophie and Jory, it's what we're hearing. We are actually waiting on Sheriff Luna to kind of give us an update about a block away from the edge of where this is all going down. The thing is, we constantly hear these flashbangs going off in the distance. We're standing physically on Alondra right now, and you see on the corner there some of the flashing lights on orange. That stretch of the road is shut down. The confrontation and back and forth seems to be happening over in that direction. And as you guys mentioned, it is kind of a push forward, push back between those protesters and those federal agents. This is something that we saw play out yesterday as well. A number of people showing up, not necessarily protesters. Some folks are just everyday citizens who are just showing up to try to protect those immigrants who are here and being targeted in these ICE raids. So obviously there has been a back and forth, but with those flashbangs going off, and like we saw yesterday as well, there was certainly tear gas being shot into the crowd yesterday. The goal obviously is to try to disperse the crowd, but it seems like in a lot of cases it only emboldens them and gets them more fired up to hurl projectiles, rocks, and other things at those federal agents who are showing up to towns like this and places like this to grab people in these ICE raids. Obviously, this is still a very active situation. I haven't heard a flashbang in the last 30, 40 seconds, but they have been one after another, clearly trying to disperse this crowd as they get a handle on the situation here. Obviously, we're going to go try to talk with Sheriff Luna in a second here. He said he'd meet us at 3:30, running us a little late. Obviously, maybe no surprise there with all that's going on right now. Obviously, once we get him, we'll bring that to you live, what he has to say about the situation that's going on here and that we've seen play out over the last 48 hours across Los Angeles with these federal agents conducting these ICE raids. It's important to note LAPD, Sheriff's Department, even CHP, all distancing themselves from these raids, saying they do not participate in these immigration operations. They say they have not been part of it whatsoever, but obviously when you have protests and you have things spilling out